Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Kenyans are being warned that their silence on matters national will soon allow William Ruto and his administration to degenerate to the worst dictators in the world. One of the people who are up in arms with the government is Willy Mutunga, the former Chief Justice. And of course, together with the Boniface Mwangi, the activist, the duo are telling Kenyans that we should be prepared to face the consequences of our gullibility and silence on serious matters. Recently, William Ruto told Africa's head of states that Kenya is the cradle of man, and that Kenya is now the home of all other African nations. And with that, he said that no one should be charged for returning home. And he meant that if you are an African citizen, then when you are coming to Kenya, you don't need to be charged any visa. William Ruto is advocating for a visa-free border. He said it when he was in Ethiopia sometimes back, and recently when he was hosting more than a dozen heads of states, he reiterated the same advocacy and told them that they should be free to come back home. Now, experts are reading mischief in Ruto's statements and conviction, and they're saying that William Ruto is on a very wrong and delicate path. This is what Mwangi, the activist, Boniface Mwangi, that is, and Willy Mutunga said. Boniface Mwangi was reacting to this news that had been delivered by James Smart, that we have a visa-free border for everyone without reciprocity. Now, reciprocity here simply means that William Ruto wants to allow other citizens to cross our borders into our country without charging anything. Yet when we are crossing border to the same countries, we are charged heavily for that. And Boniface Mwangi is saying, as I quote, that governments that care about the people seek to explain a policy move before implementation. Ruto announced visa-free without reciprocity without involving us. Ruto is changing our foreign policy like a dirty diaper. The budget deficit from visa-free collections will be paid by us. Politics aside, I totally agree with Boniface Mwangi. Willy Mutunga weighed on the debate and said, Kenyans demand or should demand public participation in all these decisions. And is asking and just wondering, how do we then use our direct sovereign power, if not in cases like this? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching our channel for the first time, allow me to request you to click the notification bell and then subscribe to our video, to our YouTube channel, like the video and share them. To those who support us in one way or the other, I want to say thank you. I don't take this support for granted. Now, ladies and gentlemen, William Ruto, for avoidance of doubt, is one man who opposed the promulgation of the Constitution. When people were campaigning and the country was yearning for change, William Ruto opposed the Constitution. And so when I see him trying to manipulate what is happening in the Constitution, I am not surprised. There is this penchant from this government of unilateral decision making. And this government feels that whatever they say is alpha and omega, it is law, regardless of a second opinion. When we want to break away and make a new paradigm shift on serious matters such as foreign policy, it behoves one to ask whether they don't see the importance of involving the people, the citizens. You see, our constitution guarantees that we have the sovereign power, and we only donate those powers to the leaders that we elect, from the member of county assembly all the way to the presidency. That whatever they do, they should take consideration and cognizance of the fact that they are exercising some authority that have been donated to them. So when William Ruto says that in his considered opinion he wants to make a paradigm shift and he wants to have a free border without reciprocity, then the best thing that should happen is that Kenyans must be involved. The constitution is crystal clear, calling for public participation. But our president still lives in the past and feels like in the Nyayo era, we can have roadside declarations. You sleep and wake up and say this is what will happen, and it is alpha and omega. And if you ask his deputy, they will tell you hii serikali ya Ruto na Gachagua. To them, Kenya belongs to them, and to a larger extent or a small extent to the taxpayers who voted for them. Remember when Kenyans were called upon to give their views and sentiments on the very delicate Finance Bill 2023. 99.99% of Kenyans spoke against the Finance Bill, but they were ignored. And so we have a government that does not care about its people. And that's why Boniface Mwangi is saying that when you care about your people, please explain to them about a policy move before you implement it. There were complaints during the GMO, and I remember Kenyans were saying, can we involve all the stakeholders to explain, because you realize that sometimes William Ruto has something that could be good for the country, but when you want to jump on it without involving Kenyans, then people need mischief. Why can't we just have a moment and explain, let them explain to us why we have to move from a tight border to a free borderline? What are the pros and cons? What would be the advantages of this? Because already we've got an influx of foreigners in our country. Just today, there was news that a Nigerian foreigner, or a Nigerian, was apprehended in Umoja and is part of a drug cartel. And I just believe that there are many in our country, courtesy of our corrupt leaders who do not care as long as you oil their pockets. But Willy Mutunga is calling upon Kenyans to demand for their rights, because he's saying that Kenyans should demand public participation in all these decisions. And you see, he's worried that if we keep quiet on such very delicate and important matters, then when will we wake up? He's saying, how do we use our direct sovereignty or sovereign power if not in cases such as this? That there comes a time when we need to wake up, we need to knock the doors on William Ruto's State House or Karen and tell him, hey, I think this is the time to involve us in this. And he feels that Kenyans are very gullible. We just keep quiet, and before we know it, we shall have degenerated to the Nyayo era. One party state where everyone is being bought. Unilateral decision making where a president wakes up and makes decisions on our behalf. It is not right at all. This is happening because all the institutions have been captured. Whether it is the judiciary, legislative arm of the government, you have nowhere to run. The parliamentarians will dance to Ruto's tune. The courts will rule in his favor. And the only person who needs to wake up and stand up is you and I. Because the policies that are being made are made on our behalf. The last time I checked, we should be making these laws for us. And that is the nature of our democracy. A government of the people, for the people, and by the people. We should not allow the government to take this move, because if you have studied the government, they're trying to have a new paradigm shift from Uhuru policies. They're just obsessed. You change State House, you kick out all the employees, and now you even want to clear our borders because maybe you just want to have something new from what Uhuru believed in. It is not bad. Whenever we have a new regime, we expect changes. But when we do it in a very blatant manner, just because it was a decision that was maybe initiated and perpetuated by the immediate former regime, then it is not right. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we are being called upon to ensure that we checkmate this government. Because if we don't, we will soon find ourselves crying in the deepest abyss of frustration, and it will take us years to come back to where we are, because people had to fight, people had to demonstrate to have a new constitution, people had to wake up, attend illegal meetings and gatherings for us to expand the democratic space. But I can see us degenerating pole back to those old days. We should not allow ourselves to get there.